Ready? Inshallah? Ready? Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد سيد الخلق والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, inshallah we continue our lesson. But before we continue from where we stopped, I just wanted to clarify regarding Sayyidina Ibrahim عليه السلام. So I had a question, somebody that asked me. I said earlier that Ibrahim was Chaldean, right? Kildani. And it was reported by the Prophet ﷺ that Ismail is Arabi. If Ismail is Arabi and his father is Kildani, it's contradicting, right? So Ismail would not be Arabi. So remember when I said Idris عليه السلام هو أول من خط بالقلم. He's the first to write. Have established a writing system. Now, if you look at the screen, you can see this. It's a letter, but I presume it's a shape. Is that what it's called in English? This shape, okay? So, if we remember, Idris alayhi salam traveled to Egypt. He was the king of Egypt. He established Egypt, and he initiated writing. Scientifically, this shape that you're seeing is called Alpo or Alip, which means ox. This is the letter A or A or Alif in Proto-Sinaic or اللغة السينائية القديمة. And Sina, where is it today? Sina is today in Egypt, right? So it's near the area where Idris was. SubhanAllah. So Idris spoke Syriac. Shaykh spoke Syriac. Nuh spoke Syriac, and Adam spoke Syriac. However, the first language Adam spoke with was Arabic in heavens, but when he repented and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave him, he returned the tongue of Arabic to him. So his descendants, the prophet ones at least, Idris for instance, he would know Arabic. So when he would write the script, he would write it with an Arabic tongue, باللغة العربية. And so we have the script. Now, I'll draw the script. Right? So this is how it would look like when they want to draw it. Now throughout years, people wanted to make this easier. So they would have variations. So let's say So they would draw it like that for instance, right? Right? Or let's say like that. And then they have it like that. So throughout the years, it would become like this. This is the word alif in Phoenician, اللغة الفينيقية. All right. Again, throughout the years, it would be written in a different ways. Think about it like a handwriting. Think about it like a handwriting. When you want to write in a certain language, English, Arabic, we all have different handwritings, right? So people who were writing these languages, they had different handwritings. Throughout the years, it would change. It would not remain the same. So someone would write it like this, and then someone would put this like that. Someone would do it like this. All right? In Hebrew, the handwriting of the word alif is like that. The printed version is like this. All right? So, it evolved throughout the years for this shape. The alif of the al-Aramiya. So, they would write it like an X, right? It resembles it, right? It would be easier to write it that way because originally it was what? Let me move this. Originally it was like that. And then people would start writing it like this. And then people were like, this is hard to write. Let's just write it like that. So this is the alif in Aramaic. Throughout the years, it would continue to change, and the writing system would continue to change, and then we would have it like this. This is Alif in Syriac, Lugha al-Syrianiya. And then in Arabic, we'd have it like that. So the writing system of Arabic that we know today is descended from Syriac, which descends from Aramaic, which descends from Phoenician, which descends from Proto-Sinaitic. So how does this relate with the ethnicity of Ibrahim? Language is important in determining the nationality of the person, not the ethnicity. Now, the ethnicity, eventually we are all descendants of who? Adam. So there is really no ethnicity. There is really no structure of ethnicity. The idea of ethnicity started when we had Nuh and his children. Right? We had Sam, Ham, Yafeth. So ethnicity basically is, who do you descend from? Which ancestor do you have? And this is where we have Semites, Hamites, and Yafethians, right? So the people of Nuh, he spoke Syriac, and then his children from Sam would continue on to speak variations of languages. From Arabic descends every other language. How so? The words. Now, when Idris wrote this, the Alif, when we say it resembles the sound that an ox would make. This is why they called it the letter ox, right? Because it resembled the sound of an ox. Language itself is a sound. It sounds, right? Seen. This is a sound. Throughout years, people would start diversifying. Some people would not be able to, pronounce a certain letter, right? Like Ain, for instance, not everyone can pronounce Ain. So in Hebrew, for instance, nowadays, some of them can't pronounce Ain. So instead they say the word Alif. Or a more clarified example, in English, they can't say Ain, they say A. The Latin alphabet, which we write in English, descends from Phoenician. If you look at the Phoenician letter of A, or Alif, it really resembles an A. They just flipped it. Okay? So the Yafethians, the descendants of Yafeth, they could not say the Ain. So throughout years, what would happen is that they would either disregard a letter, they would either add it to another letter, so they would just disregard Ain, and then merge it with A. So it would be A. So anything that was Ain, it would be placed with an A. People would pronounce certain words differently. And because of diversification, because of different tongues, it would turn from the original language into dialect. The English we speak or write with today and speak is very different than the English 500 years ago. The English of 500 years ago resembles German or a Nordic language like Swedish, if you look into it. Now, the descendants of Arfakhashad from Sam, they are part of this diversifications of languages. So they developed their own writing system throughout, this is how I showed you, throughout the years, and eventually they would have Phoenician, and then eventually they would have Khatt al-Masnad, which is a very famous writing script in Yemen. If you look at it, you would think that it's Russian, but it's actually Arabic. So this is the language that Ad spoke, Hud alayhi salam. He spoke Arabic, but not the Arabic we speak today. The Prophet ﷺ said, Ismail أول من تحدث باللغة العربية المبينة. Hud تحدث باللغة العربية. So Hud spoke Arabic. Ismail spoke the clarified Arabic. There's a difference. The old Arabic, there's an ancient Arabic, and there's the clarified Arabic. The clarified Arabic is the Arabic we speak today. The ancient Arabic, it is similar to the modern Arabic. However, it's also very similar with other Semitic languages. Remember, they all descend from one language. They all come from one language. And so he had two children, Qahtan. Qahtan would continue to speak with the tongue of his father and his ancestors, the old Arabic, the ancient Arabic. And we would have this Arabic derived throughout the years, this type of Arabic, all right? Bear with me. Now, Faligh, he would go to who? Mesopotamia, right? Where? Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia, there are the children of Ashur, and the children of Ilam, and the children of Ham. And they have their own type or method of writing or reading this language, this dialect of this proto-language or the mother language of all nations. And he has his own language, his own tongue. So his tongue would get spoiled. His children would learn from his language and other languages. So the languages gets mixed. And this is where we get Chaldean and all of those other languages. Ibrahim, he spoke Chaldean. He spoke this language. The language of the Babylonians, right? Syriac. تحدث اللغة السريانية. Now, is Ibrahim Arab or is he not Arab? Why did I explain all of this for you? Ibrahim, his tongue is not Arabic. His native tongue is not Arabic. So he's not Arab by nationality. Ethnically, he's Arab, yes. Because he descends from Hud. Hud is Arab. So ethnically he is. So nowadays, if you have someone who's born in America, let's say, and he's Arab, but he does not know how to speak English at all. Arabic at all. He only knows how to speak English, right? And he's born in America, and he is affiliated with the culture of America, right? His descendants, they're not Arab anymore. They're Americans. Yes, they're originally Arab, but they're Americans. Their ethnicity is Arab, but they're not Arab anymore. This is the same thing with Ibrahim alayhi salam. So Ibrahim, his tongue is not Arabic. His father's tongue is not Arabic. His grandfather's tongue is not Arabic. The only person who spoke Arabic in his lineage was Hud alayhi salam. He's originally Arab, but he's not Arabic anymore. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in a hadith that al-Arabi man tahaddatha bil-Arabiyya, man kana lisanuhu Arabi. So you have people today in the Arab world, they're originally from Africa or Persia or Turkey, but they're Arabs. We have famous families in Damascus, they're originally Turkish. Their ancestors 500 years ago spoke Turkish. They did not speak Arabic, but now they're Arabs because they speak Arabic. Ethnically, they're not Arabs. Ethnically. 500 years ago, they were not Arabs. But now they are Arabs. So is that clear? So Ismail alayhi salam, when he was raised in Mecca with Jurhum. Jurhum is a Qahtani tribe, right? So they spoke the language of Ad, the Arabic variation of Ad. Remember the Arabic variation that went alone in Yemen? Yeah, this Arabic would return back with Ismail. So Ismail would have the mixture of the tongue of Jurhum and his father's original tongue, Syriac. This mixture, from it, we got Arabic that we speak of today. اللغة العربية المبينة. From this mixture. And this is how Ismail was the first person to speak the Arabic we know of today. And thus he's Arab, because his tongue was this type of Arabic. This dialect of Arabic. And his children would descend and they would all be Arab, become Arab. Is that clear? Inshallah? Okay. Of course. So just to finish real quick, because the time is not with us. So Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, he talked with his parents, his family, his father, and his father did not accept. And he told him, I'm going to stone you if you don't stop preaching what you're preaching. So Ibrahim عليه السلام replied with peace. May peace be upon you. I'll ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for your forgiveness, and I'll be isolated preaching for the people who believed in me. So what did he do? Ibrahim, why was he special? Because he was rational. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the ability of being rational, giving reason. So he went with his people and he said, I'm going to go with you while you guys are worshipping. So he went with his people and saw the temples. And the people would worship Ishtar, the goddess of fertility and love, which is resembled by the planet Venus, Kawkab al-Zuhra. So he would see the ayahs that we just read in the Salah, which he would see the planet. فَلَمَّا جَنَّ عَلَيْهِ اللَّيْلُ رَأَى كَوْكَبًا قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي. Now, what happened basically, once he saw the planet, he said, oh, look, that's the Lord. But then the planet faded. You can't see it, disappeared in the sky. So Ibrahim, in front of his people were looking, were hearing him. He said, wait, he faded? He ceased to exist anymore? I can't see him. What type of God is this? I don't like those type of gods. So then the moon would come out. So he would say, oh, look, the moon, it's more shiny, it's more bright, it's larger, it's more beautiful. That's the Lord. And then again the moon faded and the night passed away. And he said, oh, the moon faded. Well, what type of Lord is this? Oh, Lord, whoever you are, please guide me to the right path. So he's mocking his people. He's being rational with them. Like, this is what you guys are worshipping, right? The stars, the idols. Let's see if that's true or not. Finally, the sun would come out and he would say, oh, this is God. This is the Lord. It's very huge. It's very bright. That's the Lord, of course. There's no doubt. All right? And then the sunset would come. The sun would fade away. And he said, you know what? That's it. Not the sun, not the moon, not the planet. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who's God. And the people started having doubts. They were like, yeah, he's right. Like how a God would cease to exist like this periodically. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes this, وَحَاجَّهُ قَوْمَهُ قَالَ أَتُحَاجُّونِّي فِي اللَّهِ وَقَدْ هَدَانِ ولا أخاف ما تعبدون من دون الله ولا أخاف ما أشركتم من دون الله ما لم ينزل به عليكم سلطانا. So I'm not scared from those idols. They're not going to hurt me. I'm not scared from the planets. They're not going to hurt me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who guided me. He is the true God and only God. And so one time the people had a celebration. This celebration is known as Akito in the Sumerian mythology, which is a celebration they do on the 1st of Nisan. Nisan is the month of April. The 1st of each April, they would celebrate. And it's a very huge celebration. They sometimes take 12 days to celebrate it. So they left the city, even though his father, the father of Ibrahim, as I've said, why don't you come with us? But he said, I'm sick. I'll just remain home. So he remained home. And he went to their temples and he found how huge their idols and their temples decorated with gold and beautiful things. And then he saw food in front of each idol. So he looked at the food and then he looked at the idols and he said, why aren't you eating? Eat, mocking them. So the idols did not reply. So he waited for a reply and then he said, why aren't you responding? Respond. So Ibrahim then grabbed an axe, and then he started destroying all the idols. And then he grabbed this tool and then he put it on the largest idol. The people came back. They saw this. They said, who did this to our gods? So some people said, we heard a boy by the name of Ibrahim. He keeps mentioning them and he keeps saying they're not the gods and preaching for another god. Just bring him and ask him. Maybe we can know who did this. So the people ask him, did you do this? Ibrahim responds, why don't you ask the largest guy over there? I mean, I see the tool of destroying in his neck. Just ask him. And the people looked at him and they're like, what are you saying? He's not going to respond. He doesn't talk. So Ibrahim looks at them and says, oh, you said it. He doesn't talk. Are you worshiping something that can't talk to you, can't see you, can't listen to you, cannot benefit you, cannot harm you? What type of an idol is, what type of a God is that? So the people glares at each other and they're like, well, he's right. Like, we're pathetic. He is right. But then arrogance, bigotry, and ignorance does this to the human being. If we do not guide ourselves by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who guides us through our humanity, and to respect ourselves. So they said, you know what, that's it, we're going to kill you. And Ibrahim was not scared, of course. He said, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. And this is why today, every time we have like a terrible situation, or like sometimes a very deadly situation, we would say, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. Because look what Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil did. There was a man, a Kurdish man, by the name of Hazan. And he built the minjaniq for them. A minjaniq was a military tool that would throw rocks and other things in military to destroy buildings specifically. And he built this. And they agreed that they're going to get all the wood from everywhere, all types of wood. They're going to gather it and they're going to put flame, a huge flame that never has been lit before. And they're going to throw Ibrahim in this minjaniq to the flame. So they grabbed Ibrahim, they tied him with ropes, they put him in, and he kept saying, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. He did not say anything, he just kept saying, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. And they threw him. The whole world was in vain. Like, it was reported by the Prophet ﷺ that the animals were trying to put down the fire. They were blowing and trying to put down the fire, except for one animal. It's like a lizard that was blowing in order to make the flame keep erupting. So the Prophet ﷺ ordered us to kill this animal every time. Not the hirbaya, no, it's bors, yes, bors in the Arabic dialect. He ordered us ﷺ to kill it every time we see it. It has like a very, it's not beneficial. So the animals are trying to blow the fire so they can put it down. And the angels, they were annoyed, like they want to save Ibrahim. So the rain angel, he said, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give me the ability to make the rain fall, when is he going to give me this order so I can just put down the fire? And Jibreel came to Ibrahim while Ibrahim was on air, being shot to the fire. He came to him and he said, what is your wish? What do you want? Ask me for anything. So Ibrahim said, I don't want anything from you. So Ibrahim had faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's told him, I don't want anything from you. You're not going to help me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to help me. And he kept saying, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. So all of these efforts did not help put down the fire. But one command, one order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ended everything. Ya naru kuni bardan wa salaman ala Ibrahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just said this. He was put in the fire. Everyone was shocked and amazed. Nothing happened to him. He was not burnt. The only thing that burned was the ropes tying him. That's the only thing that got burned. And now he's free to go. The people were amazed, like, how did this happen? This is a miracle. So Ibrahim عليه السلام stayed there for, they say, for 40 or 50 days, 50 nights in the fire. Nothing has happened to him. And people are shocked. There's also a report that his mother and his father were very glad and happy. I mean, in the end, that's their son. And his mother asked for him that she can go through the fire so she can just hug him, like, from happiness. So he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the fire does not burn her. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded to his wish. And she came and hugged him and kissed him, and then she left the fire. So after this, Namrud, remember, the tyrant king, he heard about all of this and all of this chaos going on, and this guy preaching against him and his religion and what he established, and asking people to worship Iblis and then worship him. And then he asked him to come over. So Ibrahim did his hijrah, his migration from Ur to Babel. And it's not safe to live in Ur anymore because his people want to kill him. So he migrated from Ur with his family to Babel. Namrud then said, Ibrahim, what is that I heard? You're saying that there's another God? I am the God. Waliyadu billah, he says. So Ibrahim says, so if you're the God, can you make people live and die? ألم تر الذي حاج إبراهيم في ربه أن آتاه الله الملك إذ قال إبراهيم ربي الذي يحيي ويميت قال أنا أحيي وأميت. So the man said, I make people live and die. So he ordered 2 prisoners to come over. So he said, you are executed. So they killed 1 prisoner. And then he said, you are free to go. He said, look, I killed someone and then I made someone live. Of course, Ibrahim laughed, mocking him like, this is not how you make people live and die. But then said, okay, fine. You know what? Fine. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings the sun from the east, right? It rises from the east. Can you bring it from the west? Look at the way he thinks, Ibrahim. I say he's very rational. It's very amazing. قال فإن الله يأتي بالشمس من المشرق فأتي بها من المغرب فبهت الذي كفر. Namrud looked and he said, no, I can't. I'm a human. That's reality. He's not God. He's human. So Namrud said, you know what? I'm going to kill you. That's it. Like, yeah, I get why all wanted to kill you. Now I'm going to kill you. So he ordered the military to go after him and the army. And we're going to talk about the migration of Ibrahim to Harran and Halab and all of these, inshallah, on the next dars, inshallah. But to conclude, there were people who believed in Ibrahim because his hujjah, his reasoning was so strong. Look at his rationality. So some people gathered an army together. They wanted to worship and all of that. But Namrud gathered an army to kill him. So they gathered an army to fight back, to defend themselves. And earlier, remember when I said that one man was Kurdish and he is the one who made the minjaniq to throw Ibrahim? I don't want this to be used as, look, Kurds are bad or anything. The man who was the leader of the battle to fight Namrud was also Kurdish. Because I don't want, again, part of this series is to fight racism. We all descend from Adam. So I don't want anyone to say, see, it's a Kurdish who did this. But also the Kurdish man, he fought, he was the leader of the army against Namrud to defend Ibrahim عليه السلام. So, of course, that army was so little, it was so weak. And the army of Namrud, he's the king of all the known world, it was so huge and large. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala supports his believers, the Muslims. So he sends the mosquitoes, a huge army of mosquitoes that it was very huge to the point where they could not see the sun anymore. And it came upon the army of Namrud. And it killed every single person in that army, leaving only Namrud and his wife. The army of Namrud was left from them only the bones. The mosquitoes ate their skins and ate their meat. Just left the bones. One mosquito, we all know how the mosquito's size, right? What is their size? They're very small. One mosquito went into his nose, Namrud's nose, and went into his head and stayed there. So at night, he would hear like the mosquito's sound in his head. Stop, make it stop. It cannot stop. So they figured out the only way to stop this, either to hit his head in a shoe or to hit it with a metal stick. That's the only way to stop it. To calm it. For 400 years, it stayed there. 400 years, people would hit the king of kings with a shoe on his head, just to make him feel comfortable. Remember the Tower of Babylon? That's the second punishment now from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made an earthquake come upon Babel. That tower, the very tall tower, descended on top of Namrud, fell on top of him, and killed him. This is the fate of Jababira. This is the fate of tyrants. Don't challenge Allah. This is what's going to happen to you if you challenge Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this was the end of Namrud. However, unfortunately, this was the organized start of the fight between good and bad. Because now people are actually worshipping Iblis. And from them, we're going to see how those mythologies corrupted the creed of Ahlul Kitab. And we're going to compare between what they believe in and those mythologies and how it got corrupted, and that they're actually worshipping Iblis without them knowing. At last, I want to conclude with this. There is a shubha that non-Muslims say, that we Muslims worship the god of the moon. Allah is the god of the moon. All right? Because, the original Arabs during Jahiliyyah, they worshipped Allat wal Uzza wa Manat, right? One of the gods they worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they said that this idol was for the moon. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ اللَّيْلُ وَالنَّهَارُ وَالشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ لَا تَسْجُدُوا لِلشَّمْسِ وَلَا لِلْقَمَرِ. So our religion denies this. The Quran denies this. We do not worship the moon god. We worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders us not to bow for either the sun or the moon. I mean, if He is the God of the moon, how is He ordering us to bow for the moon, right? So that's, inshallah, the reply for this shubha or fitna. وصلى اللهم وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. I'm sorry to take a long time. Inshallah, we're going to continue the story of Ibrahim next lesson, inshallah. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيمن أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت إنك تقضي بالحق وإنه لا يقضى عليك وإنه لا يذل من واليت ولا يعز من عاديت تباركت ربنا وتعاليت. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معصيتك ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا ومتعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقواتنا أبدا ما أحييتنا واجعله الوارث منا واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا ولا تسلط علينا من لا يرحمنا يا أرحم الراحمين يا أكرم الأكرمين. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Al-Fatiha على نية التوفيق في الدرس, and also Al-Fatiha for the souls of the people who got martyred. رحمهم الله وجزاكم الله خير.